Once upon a time, there was a man who had the courage so that he could heal from deep emotional wounds of the past, which is the gateway for him to step into his masculine energy, his masculine role. Now, the man in that story represents every single man who has ever had the courage to enter the healing journey. It's a surrendering to a process, a surrendering to a healing process. And surrender takes both wisdom and courage. Surrender takes wisdom and courage. And when you combine that together, it is potent and powerful. And that is the exact reason why all of the men who I work with in my coaching business are my heroes. My clients are my heroes. They are showing up with surrender, that's wisdom and courage. And they ultimately, since I work with men, a majority of my clients that I work with are straight men. And so a majority of the men who I work with are really wanting to step in and embody their masculine role, their masculine presence, their energy. And paradoxically, the gateway for them to do this, for any man to do this, is to first surrender into a feminine role of healing from emotional wounds of the past that are residing in your subconscious mind, that are creating patterns of either self-destruction, addiction, and or patterns that remove his ability to step into the masculine role. And when he heals from his emotional wounds of the past, he steps out of the feminine role and into the masculine role in a romantic dynamic. I am feeling deeply compelled to speak on this because I myself have been recently called out when I was showing up in my masculine energy at a time and place when it would have been much more appropriate for me to show up in my feminine energy, my feminine role. And there are appropriate times for all of us to shift in and out of a masculine role versus a feminine role. For example, when I am doing all of the things associated with running my coaching business and being a leader for the men who I coach, who I guide, even though I'm showing up with a feminine presence, I'm actually taking on a masculine role. That's the masculine role. But outside of that, say, for example, in a romantic partnership, I want to fully be removed, or mostly removed, from the masculine role. I want to be in a place of surrender, which requires wisdom and courage. And surrender only happens when it's the best option for us. And when we embody it, and the more we surrender to it, the better it feels. The better it feels. The opposite of surrender is resistance. For so long, I had been resisting my feminine energy in a romantic partnership simply because the masculine role wasn't being met. So I would step up and do the leading and the guiding when it wasn't actually my role to do that. But let me back up. I want this video to be primarily about putting my clients in the spotlight. They are the heroes right now. They are the heroes in this. And as I am going on my deeper dives of self-awareness and healing, I'm gaining even stronger insight and awareness on just how amazing my clients are. And that is because they are showing up with such courage. They're gaining wisdom and awareness, and they are acting on the awareness with courage. They're acting on the awareness with courage, and that allows for a surrendering into a new experience. It's worth knowing that if you as a man want to embody your full masculine energy, your power place, that's your power place, then you must, paradoxically, enter a feminine role of being open to receive knowledge, inner knowings, insights, and surrender to the awareness of the wounded and hurt parts that reside within you. This means letting go of the ego and dropping into surrender. This means allowing for those deep and challenging emotions to surface. You gotta feel it to heal it. So this process is you entering your feminine role, paradoxically acting as the gateway for you to enter your masculinity to heightened levels. When a man is resisting the healing process, it's because he's so guarded and his ego does not allow him yet to feel safe to drop and surrender. Intuitively, a man knows that when he is operating in his heightened masculine role, he's not in a place of surrender, he is in a place of leadership. So there's a natural resistance for him to drop into the feminine surrender role, the feminine role of healing. And it just so happens that that will be the most courageous thing he ever does. The most courageous thing he ever does will be to have the courage to act on the awareness that he needs to drop into the feminine role of surrender and openness and feeling all the feels. That takes courage. That's why my clients are my heroes. And if you are one of them and you are watching this, you know who you are. And there are some of you who just keep showing up and you're showing up and you're showing up and you're showing up and you are showing up. And every time you show up, it's because you are in that place of courage. Wisdom and courage. You are showing up with wisdom and courage. And the more that we surrender during that experience, the more it expedites the healing process. I myself have just learned so much about this in the past few days, in the past week, that I am so compelled to speak on this. Dropping into the feminine role of surrender and healing and feeling is paradoxically your gateway to your masculine energy where you find strength and power. But it takes courage to get there. It requires courage to get there. And the courage that you must embody is part of the experience that you need in order to really show up in that strong masculine energy. You cannot bypass this. You cannot bypass this. So if you are a man who is struggling from pornography addiction or any sex-related addiction, and you want to be a part of my Leap of Courage program and be guided through the journey and the process, then get started on my free commitment steps in the description. I will see you on the inside.